Ba-dum-bum. Okay, in theory, we're live on all of these. Let me just double check. Fun little reminder that I don't know what I'm doing. How? Oh, looks like it. Sweet, that looks good. Nice delay. Yeah, okay, cool. Very curious. Let's try this out. Don't want to get copyright striked. AirPods, please? No? AirPods look like a no-go. Okay. I don't know why my AirPods aren't connecting, but that doesn't surprise me one bit, to be honest. Let's try this again. Oh, okay, they're connected to my phone. That works. Let's just play some music on my phone. Maybe. That's not it. What is going on? The beauty of Apple's ecosystem is crumbling down around me. Yeah, I don't have a clue what's going on. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a different set of headphones, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do today and see if I can make it happen. I will be right back. Yeah, okay, interesting. I bought a pair of Sony headphones, and they are so much better than my AirPod Pro, but they connect like you expect. So, what do we want to listen to? Our karaoke playlist is probably pretty good. Okay, let me just double check one more thing. Live on Twitch. Yeah, okay, cool. Completely live. 5 people watching. Holy cow. Okay, cool. Well, if you're watching and want to participate, please join the chat and let me know. I'm kind of figuring out the whole live streaming thing. And to be completely honest, I don't entirely know what I'm doing. But my plan was to hopefully have a more collaborative session and talk more with some of the people who are interested in learning more about what we're doing. So if that's something you're interested in, please feel free to participate, and I would love that. Let me just pause these so my bandwidth doesn't die. And let's get started. So what we're going to do today is attempt to upgrade one of my projects, HTTPSpec, to Zig 0.15.1. So I've got HTTPSpec up. If I do Zig version 0.15.1 like so, feels pretty good. And then, okay. Recommended keyframe intervals 2. Recommend checking your encoder settings. Let me check something really quick. May be able to get slightly better video quality for you all if I can figure this out. Okay. Whatever. We'll go with what we got. If it's terrible, let me know, and then I will try to fix that. Okay, so we have Zig version 0.15.1. We have HTTPSpec. I'm just going to go ahead and hit this with a Zig build, and we'll see what fails. My hunch is most things will. Okay, so we have clap and regex that are failing. So these are dependencies for the project. It's the only 2 dependencies we have. So let's see if we can figure out what we need to do to upgrade these. So I think I've got clap up here. So this is a command line argument parser library for Zig. So developers tend to use either the latest tag release of Zig or the latest builds of the Zig master branch. Depending on which developer you are, you need to run a different Zig fetch. My hunch is we could probably run with the version from the master branch. So I'm just going to go ahead and update this. And somewhere in here, I've got HTTPSpec. So that should update our build.zig.zon. Overwriting existing dependency named clap. Looks good. Regex here. So this will be the next one we need to take a look at. Just out of curiosity, now that I've done that, do I still see the same issue with clap? No, I do not. So the only issue I see at the moment is regarding our regex library. So let's take a look at that and see if we can upgrade that regex library. I've mentioned this before in another video, but if people have recommendations on a regex library, let me know. This one works, but yeah, 4 months ago, for example. So I'm curious, do we have a pull request to upgrade to? Nope. We might have to look at making a pull request for this. But for now, let's just take the repo and see if pulling the latest helps us out at all. We've updated. Let's see if it helps at all. No, okay. So just double check and make sure we didn't create another. We did not. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is attempt to fork this project and see about upgrading it. So we'll grab this, hop back over here. Okay, actually, this might not be too bad. So we have Zig regex here. I've cloned that. Let me make this a little bigger. I realize this window is a lot tinier than the other tab. So we have no root source file in our build.zig. So this is a pretty common issue on line 21. So this needs to become root module. And then I have to remember what that looks like. So we'll take these lines right here, bring them up here, paste them, figure out why there's an extra. Ah, that's right. Okay, build module does not support the struct initialization syntax. I wish I had fixed this enough to remember what needs to be done here, but I think we just need to come over here and do b.module, create module. And then these will be our create module options. Okay, that maps. Am I missing? Okay, do I have too many? Give me 1 sec. I'm actually going to pull this up in VS Code simply because my NeoVim settings have been all out of whack recently. That's what I get for messing around with my config and trying a bunch of different plugins out. Okay, so it's called Zig regex. So we'll open that. And okay, build.zig. Yeah, b.create module, options, create module options. Okay, what do these look like? Root source file is a lazy path. Target and optimize. Root source file. Ah, we're missing. Okay. Thank you. Format that a little better for me. All right, let's give this a Zig build and see how far we get. Ooh, add static library not found in build.zig. 33. Deprecated. Use add library linkage static. Add library linkage static. Okay. Root source file issue on 35. Yep, right here. I'm guessing this probably needs a root module as well. It does. b.create module. Paste those there. Add our missing comma. Expected a comma after the initializer. Am I... Okay, what is the difference between this and this? So bcreate module, anonymous struct, root source file is equal to path. Okay, I am missing something. Root source file. What am I missing? Oh my gosh. Missing the dot. Come on, chat. That's what you're here for. Okay, let's give that another shot. Okay, cool. Add shared library. Looks like we have another. This is going to be add library linkage dynamic. So add library linkage dynamic. grab all of these and we'll move this into a root module. It's going to be b.create module, create options like so, paste those here, be good to go. Give me 1 sec. I need to change what we're listening to. Okay, let me just move that off the screen too. Sorry, I have an old playlist that is not the most appropriate of names anymore. So wanted to fix that right quick. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's get that fixed. So add shared library. Okay, no field target and build executable options on 62. I'm actually unfamiliar with this one, so let's figure out what has changed. Options target. Okay. I don't know why that's not allowed. Is it a resolve target? It is a resolve target. What is the issue there? No field name target and build.executable options. So we have executable options here. Prefer populating the root module. Am I? Oh, okay. This makes way more sense. Let's swap that over to Zig 15. Okay. So then again, b.create module. My VS Code was expecting us to be on 0.14 and not 0.15.1. So that was definitely a bit of an issue. Let's give this another build, see how we're doing. Sweet. Okay, cool. So this is progress, right? So we are past our build steps, and now we have actual code problems to update with this dependency. So yeah, let's take care of that. Also, it looks like we have like 10 people watching on YouTube, which is pretty cool, and 1 on Twitch. I'm actually really curious about the chat, and it's supposed to. I'm using a tool called Restream, which it looks like their branding is all over the place, so you probably see that. But if someone would want to chat on either YouTube and or Twitch, I'd love to see if it comes in, because it's supposed to sync the chat between all of those platforms. And I can confirm for a fact it's not working. Sorry, I didn't realize so many people have been talking on YouTube. I don't know how to fix that. So let me see if I can fix that right quick. Embed in stream. Okay, in theory, let me just try to update this really quick. 5.9, no, it hasn't changed. Yeah. Oh, okay, hang on. Let's try this one. Maybe. It reloaded. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's coming through. I see. Thank you, Stove, for messaging on Twitch as well and trying that out. I'm not sure what the issue is with the chat syncing, but we'll just do without for now, I guess. Feels kind of bad. Yeah, I see the test message on YouTube. I don't see it in the aggregated chat. Give me like 2 minutes to explore this. And if I can't get this working, then I will find another solution. So we have the embedded chat. Okay, let me try this. Launch the chat. Yeah, it's not showing anything at all. That's not fun. This was like one of the 2 reasons I ended up using this tool. Displays comments from all platforms. Don't you lie to me. Yeah, this totally doesn't work. Oh Lord, why? How does that happen? I have to have set something up incorrectly, right? There's no way that they would launch this product without that working. Okay, that's settings. That's cool. How do I connect the 2? Embed stream, pair channels. Okay, the channels are connected. Yeah, I don't know. The chat's not working. Let's see. Oh, the combined chats are against Twitch's terms of service. I did not know that. Yeah, let's I'm just going to detach the chats and then we'll throw each of them below. Okay. Very curious if this will work. Let's try this. So we'll replace the restream chat with just YouTube. Hey, sweet. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, okay. We'll just make that work. If you're on Twitch and you are chatting, my apologies, but the YouTube audience is significantly bigger than the Twitch audience, so that's the one I'm going to cater to at the moment right now. Okay, cool. So thank you so many people for trying and chatting on all of these, and thank you. I see now that so many people have been helping with the syntax errors. Thank you for that. I wish I would have caught that earlier. Okay, so we have our build issues fixed for this dependency of the project we're trying to update, which is a good start. They have some issues that we need to support or fix, I should say. So parse.zig on 288. So let's head over there. So, okay, the simplest way here would be to change this from ArrayList to ArrayList managed. That's probably what I should do. So is it standard ArrayList manage? Where's that at? Oh shoot, what was the type? Unknown. Okay, cool. Okay, so if we haven't talked about this yet, which we have, I guess, in several videos, but if you're unfamiliar with this, ArrayList managed is going away at some point, and the unmanaged option will be the default. But in the spirit of getting someone else's dependency working, for now, I am more than happy to just continue to support the managed version. Okay, so yeah, holy cow, quite a few errors. ArrayList aligned has no member init. Okay, same issue. So source range set, let's head over there. 48. Oh, 42. That makes way more sense. So this array list type needs to change. This is going to be standard array list dot managed. All right. I'm just going to clear this so we have a fresh output to look at. Compile 178, same issue. My hunch is it's probably going to be a lot of ArrayList issues, and then if there's any reader or writer updates, we'll have to handle those too. So ArrayList, standard ArrayList, managed. Yeah, why is the managed version getting removed? Sorry if I sound weird or I'm stumbling over my words. I don't talk much with these headphones in, and they've got automatic noise canceling on, so I like the way I hear myself talking with them in sounds really weird. So my apologies if I'm stumbling over my words. Why is the managed version getting removed? So the short and sweet, I actually want to do a video on this sometime soon, but it has to deal with alignment of data and alignment of structs. So if you are passing the managed version, to build the managed version, you have to provide an allocator. So the allocator is going to be 16 bytes, I think, if I got that correctly. This is why I haven't made the video yet. I need to double check my math. But you're going to have a pointer to the allocator. You'll have 2 pointers, essentially, and each one's going to be 8 bytes, I believe. So when you are allocating memory with an array list that's managed, you're always going to take up 16 extra bytes because you have to make space in memory for the allocator pointers. So instead, you can, for every single array list that you do, you can reduce the memory footprint by 16 bytes by not using the managed version and instead providing an allocator every time you need to make an operation that changes the size of that array list or adds to that array list or whatever. The 16 bytes might not sound that big, but when you start talking about alignment, so like if you have, let's say you have something that's taking up a single byte, and then the next thing that you're working with takes up 4 bytes, and the first field in your struct takes up 1 byte, and then the next one takes up 4. So because the way that alignment works and with CPUs, and x86 is really lenient with this, but ARM, for example, is not very lenient with this, and many other processors are not lenient with this either. You get into a spot where the struct has to add padding. So that very first bit will be in the 0th slot, or like the first slot, I guess. I guess it would be the 0th. And then there would be 3 bits of padding so that the next one could be in the 4th bit, because it's a 4-bit piece of data, and it essentially needs to be in a slot that is divisible by 4. Sometimes the slots are referred to as words if you end up reading about this on your own. But yeah, I need to double check some math and a couple more things and get a couple more resources together. Then I'll put out a video on alignment. It's been wild. I've mentioned this in other videos, but have come from a predominantly higher level language background. So when I started learning about, when I started learning Zig, I started learning so much more about how computers actually work than I realized. Most of my lowest level stuff had been a little bit of Rust, like a tiny bit, and then 6 years of Go, which Go's not that low level. But besides that, it's been like Clojure and Java and Scala and TypeScript and a bunch of high level languages, Dart. So yeah, and ended up learning a ton about computers with Zig, which is part of what keeps me excited about learning Zig, is that not only am I learning the language and all sorts of fun stuff, but I'm learning more about how computers work, which is crazy. Yeah, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. Thanks for asking. It's 8 bytes now for alignment, right? Yes, for 64-bit, it would be 8 bytes now for a pointer, right? For alignment. It really depends on the data type that you're storing in memory would determine how many bytes are necessary. Oh, are you asking specifically about the allocator? Because I think it's the allocator involves 2 pointers. So I think it would be 16 in that case. And again, I need to double check my math and make sure that I have everything right before I'm ready to publish that. So you're getting a sneak peek, but my numbers may totally be wrong. Okay. Yeah, alignment. That's fun. Let's get back to trying to fix this. Um, Also, thank you so much to everyone who's turned out already. This has already been way more fruitful than I thought it would be. So I might have to end up doing this more. Okay, another ArrayList example. The author of this library did a fantastic job of aliasing all of these up at the top of the file, which is making this super easy to update. Managed, please. Yeah, speaking of alignment too, I'll try not to make this all about alignment, but this ArrayList package here also has aligned and aligned managed. So these are essentially, when would you want to use the aligned version? Um, my understanding is that these ArrayLists will also like organize data to better support alignment requirements and packing of that data. So the next thing from alignment would be packing, which would be ordering things in a way where you are minimizing the amount of padding that is used for the alignment of structs that you're working with. So again, that probably actually won't be covered in that video. Packing might, but the like aligned version of ArrayList probably won't. Mostly because I have already exhausted my knowledge for the aligned versions. Just sharing it with you here. So I would need to do more research on that, and maybe I will before I end up putting that out. But there's also aligned and aligned managed to look at here as well. One sec. We are listening to The Lion King, and I would like something else. Okay. Yeah, so that one should be fixed now because we're using the managed version as well. So what are we working on? Writer issues. That'll be fun. To be honest, I'm least looking forward to those. Oh, expected type ArrayList aligned, and we have aligned manage. So we're passing something in here on 59. And it's expecting a different type. That's actually one thing that's really interesting from that type is this indicates to me that the default array list that we are getting, like capital A array list that we had here, so this one is a managed and aligned, sorry, an unmanaged and aligned array list. Okay, so array list managed, that should be good. VM test issues on 48. Look at that. Three failures. That's much better than I expected. Okay, I'm gonna knock out all the ArrayList ones first because, to be completely honest, they're a lot easier than the writer updates. So we'll start with that one first. Honestly, probably should have done this to begin with, but this will become ArrayList managed. ArrayList managed. I'm sorry, what is this? Application support code global. How did we? What is this? Why did this show up in my search? That's so strange. Okay. It's irrelevant, I guess, but kind of strange. Okay, cool. We're down to a writer error, which I'm really not looking forward to. It looks like it's actually just in a test, though, so this might not be too bad. Okay, standard IO writer. We have a static writer, an error, and a write function. Okay, let's see if I remember how to update this. Also, this is... I actually don't know what this needs to be, because this is not a standard out writer. This is going to be a standard IO writer, so... why not replace all? Mostly because I wanted to at least be aware of where I was making those updates, since this is a open source project that is a dependency of one of my projects. So I am not too familiar with it. So, and oddly enough, I caught this really weird example of me trying to update something in Zig, VS Code Zig, which very strange. Okay, standard IO writer. I'm going to pull up the WriterGate article, or Zig 0.15.1 release notes instead. Oh, Lord. All right, let's talk about writers. Standard IO writer, which are non-generic and have the buffer above the vtable. Okay. Buffers in the interface, not the implementation. Still transparent optimization. Cool, cool. How long has standard IO writer been a thing? Was that in 0.14? Because now that I'm thinking about it, it looks like this has been slightly updated, maybe? New standard IO writer. Wait, is it capital? It is. These are the same, no? Const writer, IO writer, IO writer. Those look to be the same. Can you use generic writer there? I'm actually not familiar with generic writer. Oh, it looks like standard IO generic writer has become standard IO writer. Yeah, I really wish they had more examples in the release notes for something like this, to be honest with you. Okay, so there's an old writer, adapt to new API, standard IO writer, adapter, new interface. So what is this? Vtable, buffer. Okay, so that is the writer's implementation. Do we have... What is static writer? Where is this defined? Interesting. 5 years ago, too. Holy cow. static writer. So we're using memcopy here, taking the bytes into the buffer. Okay. I feel like this isn't necessary. Like, I feel like what is being done with static writer here could just be done. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Use the standard library documentation all the time. And just to clarify, are you talking like the Zig docs? Click, yeah, this right here, which can be spun up locally with the Zig std command. Yeah, I think this is the same one that you're talking about then. Or this one. Okay. Yeah, this is a little nicer than actually reading through the source code. Flush is a no-op. Yeah, that one. Okay, cool. I don't know what needs to change for this, to be honest with you. Feels like the static writer itself is like it's using a buffer and keeping track of the last, which doesn't seem like that seems like what the new writer should be doing. But this write function's interesting, and I guess it's taking the total length of bytes and returning that. There's an out of memory error, and then I am so confused. How is this 5 years ago? Will you take me to GitHub? You will take me to GitHub. Thank you. Yeah, shoot, man. 5 years ago. Oh, it was a static outstream, and then it became a writer? Actually, doesn't look like much has changed, except it's not forcing it to be an outstream. It's just taking any writer in that case. I didn't realize that standard IO writer had been around for that long. I was under the impression that this was added in 0.15.1. Interesting. Okay. Is this the only thing we're missing? It does look like that. Okay, just out of curiosity, does our build succeed? It does. Holy cow. Okay. I feel like I should update this, but I would like to get back to the thing that I actually want to do today. So I think what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to take this and update to Zig 0.15.1 except parse test. Okay, push that up. I'm going to go ahead and make a PR. Yes? No? Dang. Does not appear to be a Git repository. What? Okay. I've been to ADL so often that it just defaults to that at this point. Okay, cool. So let's make a pull request back. Updated some of this. Be compatible with Zig 0.15.1. However, with the parse test, I'm not entirely sure what the updates to that static writer need to look like. These updates unblock me for now, so I plan to kick over to my fork for my own project, but am happy to continue to work on this PR if you would prefer. Okay, cool. So we have something working for us and we're able to give back, which always feels good. Not sure why that static writer is eluding me so much, but that's something I can come back and look at too, or maybe get some assistance from the maintainer on that if they are still maintaining this. Yeah, 4 months ago, it's probably. Okay, cool. So we have our own version of this now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop back over to GitHub, grab our fork, and this should unblock me, at least for now, on upgrading HTTPSpec, which is one of my favorite Zig projects to work on. So it'll be nice to upgrade that. Okay, so we can Zig fetch, and then we're just going to paste our let me grab the right thing. Okay. Yeah, we'll just paste ours right here, and then it should overriding existing dependency named regex. Sounds good. Let's give this a build. Let's see if we get past our dependencies, and we have. So now we can move on to HTTPSpec, which is what I would like to work on. So let's do that. That's updog. I haven't talked to you about updog yet. Are we still live? Oh man. Okay. Sorry, I've lost track of the chat. Yeah, that one. Hoy, what is the HTTP spec in Zig? What is HTTP spec in Zig? HTTP spec. Yeah, let's talk about it. So, there's this concept known as an HTTP file. I really like HTTP files. I've got a. We're just gonna open another window really quick, and I want ST server. So I've got a game server that I've been working on in Go, called ST server at Sovereign Tides. But I have HTTP spec files that I use for testing. So, like for example, the sign up flow, I test this with this file right here. So this is essentially a collection of HTTP requests that you can fire through VS Code. They're so simple, and it's so much nicer than like a curl or a har or some other thing that you can save. But I'm using them for testing essentially. This one's a bit of automation, but some of these are for testing, and I have to look at the output and validate that it looks like what I would expect it to. So that's an HTTP file. Your question wasn't what is an HTTP file, it's what's HTTPSpec. So HTTPSpec is a Zig project that extends HTTP files with assertions. So the spec is right here. If you're curious, you can read through it. It's small too, but the highlights are that it is essentially an extension of HTTP files. Every HTTP spec file is still a valid HTTP file. We get away with that by doing some weird comment shenanigans. But essentially, you have your standard HTTP file stuff here, and then you have assertions here. So you will execute this, and then if you use HTTPSpec, the Zig program, it'll execute this for you, and then it will run those assertions and tell you what doesn't match. So I've got some examples in here, some test files. So like this one, for example, makes a simple 200 request to HTTP bin, which is just a site that returns the status code you provide it. And then this one succeeds. There's no assertions at all. It's just a valid HTTP file. And then this one is this has an assertion right here. So status 403, but we're hitting status 404. So that'll fail. So there will be an error that is raised from our assertion checking. So yeah, you'll get to see how that works here in just a few minutes, hopefully, whenever we get this building on 0.15.1. Okay, so we have some build.zig issues again. Actually, sorry, I think there might have been other comments in the chat. So let me get up to speed. Doggo spotted. Yeah, she's back there. She's asleep now. And then we have another small dog somewhere around here, but I'm not sure where he's at. And then people chatting with each other. Love to see it. Okay. Add a comma here so this format's better. So this becomes root module. This will be b.create module, create options, paste, add a comma here so we get good formatting. Should be good. Root source file. Yeah, I guarantee we have another one somewhere around here. This becomes root. Oh, no. Actually, we're good. We're good. Sorry, jumped the gun on that one. Let's give it a build. See how it turns out. Why? Oh, okay, because the array list changed. Okay, so let's... What? In the build? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot I did this. So I have these dependencies here, and I just wrote like a tiny little for loop, essentially, that is managing these dependencies for me. I'm kind of curious... 54 dinit. Oh, yep, that'll do it. Okay, so I am going to clean this up a little bit. I would rather do this. And we will keep this empty. But I need an allocator. Is there a b.allocator that we can use? Yeah, there is. Perfect. Okay, so this is we're going to use the, since this is my project and I'm a little more invested in doing things the way that Zig is going for the long term, we will actually do the unmanaged array lists for this. So for example, I'm going to clean this one up too because I like this style a lot better. So we have an array list here. This is unmanaged, and I think it's aligned if I was correct on that earlier. I'm defaulting it to an empty array list, and then looking at the allocator from the build namespace, build struct, whatever this is, and using that instead. So sorry, got distracted with the chat. So just to reiterate, so I have a whole coherent train of thought, we're using the unmanaged array list here, defaulting to empty, and then we are going to have to pass that allocator around anytime that we're interacting with that array list where we are either allocating, or deallocating, or resizing that array list. I guess resizing is technically an allocation. Okay, so we should run zig build and probably see a couple more. Yep, okay. It actually looks like we're good. Oh, we're already doing that? I guess I was already using unmanaged. I didn't realize that. No, wait, 20 seconds ago. When did I change that? Huh. Okay. I totally don't remember changing that. I'll have to watch the clip and make sure that I actually did, and it didn't just automatically do that for me or something. That really strange. Okay. So yeah, IO stuff. Fun. Okay. So this is the meat and potatoes of upgrading for us. This is not going to be bad. So trying to remember what all of this looks like. So we need to create a buffer. I'm just going to copy and paste this. But then the question becomes where, and honestly, some of these probably shouldn't be standard debug prints anymore either. Probably should clean that up just in general. This will have to change because we don't have standard outrider. Let's actually just make this cleaner. So we're going to go ahead and create a buffer for standard out, and we'll also create a buffer for standard error up here. So this one will become standard error. Shocked that that will be as clean as I was able to get that. So we have essentially a standard outrider and a standard error writer. They're buffered. We'll have to flush them. I still don't know if this is a good idea or not, but kind of like doing the defer there since I don't really need to write until the very end. Okay, so that gives us something to work with. And then we'll need to actually change where we're using all of these, right? So this is expecting a stream, which is a standard IO writer. So this will now become standard error. And then somewhere down here, we have standard out. Yeah, right here. Plenty more to fix, I'm sure. Oh, nice. ArrayList issues on 49. Yep. So, oh, great song. Okay. Add the allocator in there. And then anywhere we are adding files, we need to standard array list, good. Files.append. So we need to pass in that GPA as well, or sorry, that allocator, I should say. And again, this is all about alignment and minimizing the alignment of these array lists. Also, it's not entirely true. It's not all about alignment. It's also about being more explicit with allocations. So if you were to use a managed version and you append something, like there's an allocation going on there, but it might not be obvious that there's an allocation going on there because the allocator is not in the scope of that append. But with the unmanaged version, it is far more obvious that you are potentially doing an allocation. Okay, so files, yep, files.append. So same thing here. Yep, files.append, same thing here. Okay. Let's see what we're working with. Main.zig 161, another array list. I'm gonna hopefully this doesn't affect anything. I'm gonna refresh. I guess we'll find out if it did. I refreshed as I said that, so I think it should still be fine. But yeah, okay, cool. Sweet. I have that restream tool that I'm using, and I just wanted to refresh it really quick because it looked like it had gone stale. And I don't need to pause. I don't need the preview, so I'll pause that. Cool. Okay, cool. Let's continue. That's an interesting project. Nice job. Thank you. Sorry for the delay in the response. Okay, so we have our array list here. We're going to make these same modifications. We'll probably make these quite a bit. Let's try to find and replace all. Actually, there's not much more to replace at this point. This is the last one. Okay, cool. So probably could have done a find and replace all, but we just have one left. So let's just go ahead and fix that. And then this becomes empty. Files.dinit is going to need an allocator now. So we'll pass in an allocator. And then anywhere we add files, we need to pass in that allocator. So we have an allocator. Subfiles, files.append, allocator, files to own slice. I think we should be good with our array lists. I'm going to mute the mic and take a drink really quick. One sec. Okay, cool. I'm actually unfamiliar with this one. My hunch is that we need to provide an allocator for to own slice because it was probably using the allocator that was managed by the array list. Yeah, that makes sense. To owned slice. Same thing here. Allocator. I'm bummed no one asked about updog whenever I teased it earlier. Parser has an array list. How did I miss this one? Empty. Okay. Allocator. Give this another build. I don't know how I missed all of those array lists. Oops. Hop on over here, same thing. So this becomes empty. And then we'll take this, cut it, and we'll add it right here. Body buffer is going to need an allocator to dinit from. Ooh, clear retaining capacity. Invalidates all element pointers. It does not look like we need an allocator for that. I guess if it's just invalidating pointers, it shouldn't need an allocator, so that makes sense. Body buffer, where do we add to this? Right down here. Yep, so we need our allocator, and we need another allocator. Let me spell allocator properly. Requests is also an array list. Oh man, allocator. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Sorry. Was checking. I got like a not like a push notification, but like a uh, browser notification from YouTube on the chat channel. So I was just kind of confused as to what that was. I think we're good. Okay. Cool. So more allocator stuff. Yeah. Well, this and the writer updates will be actually. It's probably all we have to do. So really, it's not that bad. But allocator. But I am starting to struggle to spell allocator. Allocator. Oh wait, sorry, that's allocator free. I don't need to pass in an allocator there. Allocator. Almost done with the allocator updates, I hope. Current request, append. Yep, allocator, got it that time. Give it another build. Someone has mentioned this to me previously. Actually, sorry, let me pull up YouTube Studio on my phone. Someone left some comments on how to run zig build watch, and I don't remember the exact command, but I know someone has mentioned it, so let's find out. Oh, it's literally just the watch flag. Oh, yep. Okay, cool. Wow, that's yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So parser right here needs an allocator. Parser 147, same thing. Zig, parser zig 51. Oh, okay. That's an interesting predicament. Since I'm not going to use managed array lists here, I guess I technically an interesting thing with the unmanaged array list is if you're using multiple allocators, you could technically store you could allocate with different allocators on every append if you really wanted to. So I was trying to think, would it make sense to store the allocator on the HTTP request? And I think the answer is no, because there's not like an incentive to do that really, and it would increase the size of that struct, if not the alignment. So I think instead, what I do here is we just change this to, well, this should be really nice and easy now because I can just type empty. And then this will also be empty. And we don't need an allocator to initialize this anymore. That's wild. So let's go to where we are using that. We can remove that allocator. Oh man, great song. I don't think you can use different allocators for different appends. Okay, it's interesting, right? It makes sense that like you probably wouldn't want to do that, but I was curious like from a not looking at the source code of the well, I'm also curious how would it know unless it's tracking which allocator is doing which appends. I'm okay, tangent because every good adventure involves a tangent. Go into YouTube, make dir zig ArrayList shenanigans. I misspelled shenanigans, but we're throwing this away right after this video, so it doesn't matter. Okay, let's find out. Quick little adventure into main.zig. All we really need to do, right, is create an array list and use different allocators for this. So let's just remove the rest of that. So yeah, let's try it. So A1 is equal to standard array list. We'll do, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I guess, what we do. Let's just do slice of const 8. And then let's yank that. We'll come over here, paste it. Oh man, if I could type today. Oh, we don't need 2 array lists. We need 2 allocators, right? So standard heap debug allocator, maybe. Something like that. I don't know if it really makes as much sense to just wrap the GPA with an arena to prove a point, but I guess it technically is a different allocator. So we could do standard heap arena allocator dot init. Child allocator will be the GPA. SMP and page. Yeah, that makes sense. You're going to make me look up allocators that I've never used before for anything substantial, at least. Zig SMP allocator. Zig guide, you are so out of date, but maybe you still have something useful. Okay, yeah, we'll grab this. Oh. Okay, so we have a page allocator. Let's change this to page allocator. And then we also want, you said SMP. Let's just do a fixed buffer. So, okay, we have a buffer. Standard mem SMP allocator. Oh, you redacted it, but I've seen it. Standard mem SMP, standard heap SMP allocator. Yeah, okay. I actually don't know what an SMP allocator does, like what it does differently. So that is something I should dig into, or if you're here and you want to let me know, that is fine too. It's too late. Fixed buffer's gone. We're doing SMP. You've convinced me. Okay, so we have our array list. So let's do a1.append. So we need an allocator. We'll do a page allocator for the first one, and then our item. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I shouldn't have fired up Vim. I need to fix my freaking Lua snippets and my Lua settings. This is a mess. ALR. Okay. I see my issue. Sorry, this should be empty. And then in theory, we could do what? SMP allocator, and then something like DEF. We don't need our GPA. So what? Okay, so if we run this, what's the expected behavior, right? Oh, ALR means all right. Okay, I'm old. I'm not hip, so I'll have to learn these things as we go. What's the expected output, right? So before we run this, we have two different allocators. We're appending to the same array list with different allocators. Since they're unmanaged, that totally makes sense. It's, from a code level perspective, it's something you can do. Are we expecting? I can't imagine we would get a comp time error. Do you think we get a runtime error? Do you think it just works? Kind of curious. Using different allocators is definitely illegal behavior. Okay. How does it manifest? How do we see that? Like, is it runtime, comp time? Just undefined behavior that totally just maybe works depending on your architecture? Okay, a1.items. Item, come over here, standard debug print. I think it's that. Runtime error, interesting. So far so good. We just need to throw some tries on there. Okay. Oh, it totally let me append with two different allocators. Unless I'm made some very amateur mistake and I'm missing what I did wrong. That is ABC, DEF, two separate allocators. Yeah, I'm not doing. I did nothing wrong, right? This is weird. I feel like I should clip this, and this should be its own video, or maybe I'll do this again and record it in a video format. You know what? No, we're gonna clip this and we'll make it a video because holy cow. Okay, this is wild. So I didn't realize this with if you are tuned into the stream, this is gonna sound weird, but I'm gonna switch over to video creation mode for just a second. So bear with me. Okay, so with Zig 0.15.1, one of the changes that is going in, or has gone in at this point, really, is that the default array list is an unmanaged array list. So this means that you don't have an allocator that is sent with your initialization logic to your array list. That's a weird way to say that, but you don't pass in an allocator when you initialize your array list. What this means is anytime you are changing the size of that array list or like appending to it, anything of that nature, or deallocating allocations or deallocations, really, you are needing to pass in an allocator. What this means is that you can also change the allocator whenever you're passing things in. So I've got an example here with an array list that takes in a slice of const u8s, so strings, and this has a page allocator and an SMP allocator. I'm appending ABC with the page allocator and then DEF with the SMP allocator, and then cycling through the items and printing just to make sure there's not any weird behavior or anything, any artifacts from the array list that might mess it up. So if we do zig build run, you can see ABC, DEF, and it prints like you would expect. It's kind of wild. So we're going to try to de-init because one of the suggestions I've seen is de-initting the the array list and also checking the capacity field. So let's try that really quick. So we'll do standard debug print. Capacity is going to be what? It should be a digit. So let's do a1.capacity and see what that gives us. And then we'll also do what else? DNet, I guess. So let's do a1. Well, okay, this is interesting, right? Because I think like so deinitializing is this is going to be terrible for a video. Okay, so I think the thing here is like we can't just de-init because we need to pass in the same allocator. You can't pass in a different allocator for this because that is going to be undefined behavior or illegal behavior, I should say, trying to deallocate something that was allocated with a different allocator. So check the capacity before the second append. We'll just do it both. Let that format. So what we would need to do to deinitialize these successfully and in a way that's not illegal would be A1. Well, we would really need the first item, right? So it'd be A1.items 0, and then we would need to free that. So the first one is page allocator. So page allocator dot free A1 0 dot items. Oh my gosh, let me type correctly. Items 0. And then the next one would be SMP allocator dot free A1 items 1. And let's fix that typo. Jeez. Okay, let's give this a run. Yeah, just a typo on 19. Let's fix that. Okay. Okay, yeah, we do get a bus error in that case. That's interesting. So the capacity is 8 in both cases. Yeah, let me clean this up a little bit. So come back here, do a new line, do another new line. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, the capacity is 8. The capacity is 8 again, which is kind of wild. And then whenever we start to free them, we have our page allocator and we're freeing the first one, and we are running into a bus error. Okay, so I guess my takeaway is as long as you don't have to clean up after yourself, it is technically valid behavior. But when you need to start cleaning up after yourself, that is when you might run into some issues. Wild. Okay. What color scheme am I using? If you're asking about my NeoVim scheme, I basically just use out of the box lazy Vim. It's not scheme. I don't remember what it is. Whatever color scheme they ship with, I use lazy Vim almost completely out of the box. So, hey, look, that looks really similar, right? So yeah, there's this distro. I have remapped some keybinds, but no additional plugins, nothing like that. So yeah, that's what I use. Okay, sorry. Wild detour into ArrayLists and allocations with multiple allocators since the unmanaged is becoming the default. But and I probably won't be able to use that for video footage, but that's okay. Let's get back to what we were working on. Still using different allocators for one slice can cause problems. I don't disagree at all. It totally makes sense. And then at some point, like if you were to do that, right, and you go from an array list and you want to do 2 owned slice on that, you have to pass in a single allocator. So like you're gonna get maybe you might get weird behavior in that case too. The short and sweet, don't do it. don't do that. Just use a single allocator for your array list. So second append doesn't even call allocator. As you can see, capacity is 8 after your first append, so second append doesn't call allocator. You can even pass allocator, which always fails. No, oh, you're right. Oh my God, you're totally right. That is a really good point. So yeah, we're making enough space in that array list, so we don't need to actually call allocate for the next append because we don't need to create space for it. Okay, super bad example on my part. So I would assume that you do get pretty weird behavior if we actually were to size this in a way where shoot, wrong thing. That should be good. And then we could take this and like, let's ink this and just paste this a couple times. So this should run into some issues, right? Like there's no way that wouldn't. Okay. I don't know how to I'm not sure how to pronounce your username, unfortunately, but um, not CPN, but the other one. You need at least 8. Okay. So hang on. So you're saying I need at least 8 in the first one? Because my understanding was that if I put 6 in and then I try to append over 8, it would need to do an allocation. Is that not correct? Append 9 times with the second iterator. Okay. Let's give that a shot. It's still there. It goes from 8 to 20. And you know, we do get a bus error shortly afterwards, but like it's there. It's doing what we would expect it to do, I think. All right. I've given myself just around 2 hours for this for the stream, and we're close to 2 hours in. So I'm gonna swap back to HTTPSpec and see if we can get that done. I'll go over 2 hours if need be, but I could see myself getting detoured on this all day. You need to append 8 more elements for reallocation to start, which I think we did, right? I mean, right here, we're definitely appending more than 8 elements. I'm curious if I could ask someone who works on the Zig team about this and what they would expect to happen. And again, this is erratic behavior, right? Like, probably shouldn't do this, and I don't know why many people would do this, but accidentally doing this is something that could potentially happen depending on the different allocators that you're using in your application. All right, let's hop back over to HTTPSpec. See about getting this finished. Oh no, I was unaware of changes to the HTTP client. What else do we have? Actually, that might be it. So let's hop over to this and knock this one out. Okay, what has changed? HTTP client. We have an HTTP client. There's no open method anymore. Wait, why are you trying to free a string slice? You're right. Sorry. You're totally right. I don't need to free that because we are not like duping that or anything. I feel myself wanting to tangent on this so hard. A1 dinit. Yeah, we do. Okay, so dinitting will need an allocator, right? So what happens if we throw in the page allocator? Some goy on YouTube. Hello, thanks for joining. Yeah, if we dinit with the page allocator, it's fine. What happens if we dinit with the SMP allocator? Oh, wrong thing. Yeah, it's also fine. I don't know. Okay, yeah. I don't know why that's working the way it is. That's definitely something to dig into. Yeah, wild. Okay. HTTP spec. What has changed? So we have our HTTP client. It looks like there's not an open method anymore. Yeah, I think it also might be a coincidence. Is it because SMP uses page allocator under the hood? Does it use page allocator under the hood? Oh, okay. Okay, that makes more sense. So in theory, we could try something like the fixed buffer allocator, and we might get different behavior. Okay. Did we get rid of open? How did I not see that in the release notes? HTTP, yeah, HTTP client and server. The API and implementation have been completely reworked. No. Yeah, it's fine. Client upgrade example. Show me what we got. Client open becomes. Okay, sure. It's not too bad. Client open get URI. Oh, yeah, that is a really good point. The page allocator is using raw OS calls, so it's going to request pages of memory from the operating system. So every allocator which uses the heap will eventually call into it. That makes sense. Okay, let's swap this over. So we have a client. This looks good still. HTTP client. Does it need an allocator? Is there an init? There's a dinit. You are not an HTTP client. What are your redirect behavior? Okay, so there's no init for the HTTP client, which is fine. Oh, wait, that's where we want to be. So it still takes in an allocator. It must be thread safe. Okay, cool. We have our client. So what we need to do is change open. So what does this become? I'm going to type this out just because it will make me hopefully remember this a little better. It's not open, it's request. It'll be request.method. We have a URI. Shockingly, not much is changing there, actually. My hunch is that these are still the same, so we'll just copy these over. Oh, maybe. Yeah, no worries. It was a fun adventure, even if they, ultimately the two allocators worked better together than expected. Okay, so this gives us our request. I'm curious, request options, headers, extra headers, privileged headers. Server header buffer. Is this no longer needed? Let's leave it for now, and when we try to build, I'm sure it'll yell at us. As in right now, it's already yelled at us. Okay. I'm going to comment this out. Both of those. Yeah, for test, you probably want something like debug allocate, something plus debug allocator, since it inserts checks and will fail if you use it incorrectly. Yeah, that makes total sense. So we got deep in the tangent, and I think the shock factor of that originally working when we expected it not to just kind of spiraled me down a little rabbit hole. Okay, so we have our request. We have dinit. We're gonna try request.send body list, receive head. Okay. Does send body list make sense? I don't think it does. So transfer encoding. Okay, that's still good. Oh, okay. Send body transfers the HTTP head over the connection and flushes. Transfers the HTTP head and body over the connection and flushes. I'm hopping off for the night. It's midnight for me here. Bye-bye. Yeah, thanks for tuning in and being so engaging in the chat. That helped make this a better experience for me too. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And thank you again and sleep well. Okay, send body. What's the difference here? So transfers the HTTP head over the connection and flushes, or transfers the HTTP head and body over the connection and flushes. Oh, okay. So this is transferring the head and sending that, and then giving us a buffer to write the body to, I believe. Where this would be all at once. We could probably just do this, right? So the question then becomes, how do we want to handle this? Because this should probably be right here. So if there is a body, then we send body complete, else something like request.send bodiless. Sends and flushes a complete request as only HTTP head, no body. Okay, that makes sense. Don't need this anymore. Do we need to finish? Once we call reader below, strings inside response head are invalidated. Interesting. Okay. So we get the response head back, which I will need. So we have our HTTP response. We initialize it with an allocator, header, iterator, response, head, iterate, headers. Okay. Response dot head. No. Oops. Oh, rec.response.head.iterate headers. No, what am I doing wrong? Oh, okay. So we need to, this isn't valid, this isn't valid. So replace those with, change this to raw response. And then down here, this would become like raw response.head.iterate headers. Okay, that makes sense. Same here. Let's kick this over. Raw response, head. Excuse me, header name. Okay. Header iterator looks good. Dupe that. Yep. Okay. That looks pretty good. When we call reader below, strings inside response header invalidated. Okay. Optimal size depends on how you will use the reader. That makes sense. So we have a new reader buffer. Do response reader. We pass in that buffer. That gives us a body reader, and then we can do. Oh. Why do we not know the type here? Looks like we have an issue on 74. Why does it expect the body to not be? Okay, that's fine. It should be a fine change. Error unions ignored. Yep, let's fix that. Rec.response.status, no field name response, instruct HTTP client request. Yeah, this would be, I would assume, raw response.status maybe. Maybe. What is this? In the head. Okay. Raw response.head.status. Yep, looks good. 93, no field or member name function reader and HTTP client. Okay. 93. This would be raw response.reader. Okay, that seems pretty good. Expected error union type found IO reader. Oh. Okay. So we have a transfer buffer. Oh, I'm actually confused on this one. Expected error union type found IO reader. Raw response reader. Oh, this can't fail? No, it can't fail. Is this... This is not valid in the release notes, I don't think. We don't need to try that. Right? Am I crazy? Try response reader, body reader. Yeah, okay. We shouldn't need to try this. Let me make a note of that really quick. That seems like something we should probably fix. Issue with try response.reader and reader buffer in 0.15.1 release notes. Okay, save that for later. Okay, cool. So making progress, I hope. No field or method read all alloc in IO reader, try a body reader, read all alloc. Okay. Struct declared here. Method invocation only supports up to one level of implicit pointer dereferencing. Use this to dereference a pointer. I don't think we should need to do that, right? Body reader. What do we get? So we have discard, fill, peak. Okay, yeah, I think read all alloc is just gone. So I think we want read alloc, I guess. Sure, let's try that. Assertion checker. Oh, cool. Back to ArrayList stuff. Sweet. Yep, let's hop into the assertion checker. Make this empty. Oh yeah, can't do that. There we go. Okay, one should be good. 79. Need to pass in an allocator. Oh no, do we not have an allocator? Oh, self.allocator. The assertion diagnostic is managing the allocator, which I guess is fine. We can maybe change that later if we would like to. What else we got? Source file struct IO has no member, get standard error. Yep, that makes sense. Main.zig 147. I thought we fixed this, did we not? 147. Yeah, this should just be standard error. Ah, okay. Maybe? That does assume... Actually doesn't look like we use standard out. Well, we do use standard debug. Although this arguably shouldn't be debug. This should probably be an error. Okay, so it looks like we just need standard error. We don't need standard out. So let's go back to run test up here. Args standard error. All right, how we doing? Expected type standard IO writer got a pointer to standard IO writer. Okay. Bada bing. Assertion checker 57. We've got some dinit issues. Let's fix those. Self.allocator. Okay. Holy cow. Build succeeded. Shocked. The following build command failed with an exit code. What failed? Zig build run. What's failing? Okay. Zig build. Okay. Build successfully. Run is not succeeding though. Zig out. What we got? Bin. Okay. Integer overflow. Arena allocator. Reader HTTP client 91. Why? Interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Was this an integer overflow? Is that what I said this was? Man, sorry. The text is so big. It is so hard for me to actually read this, but I know it's better for the stream. So, yeah, panic integer overflow. Okay, that is probably because we're doing standard math max int usize. Okay, what should this be then? So the buffer provided by an allocator. Do they have information in Zig 015.1 release notes? Read all alloc. Okay, yeah, there's no information on that anywhere. Fun. GitHub, Zigling, Zig. Read all alloc. What do we got? Wonder if we can find an example of read all alloc. ZSTD stream. What does it think this is? Body reader, pointer to reader. I wish there was more clear information as to what happened to read all alloc. Also looks like it's being used here. What type is, okay, it's a reader. You know what I'm curious about? Let's see if we can find the code for read all alloc from when it was. 014. Oh, where would that have been? Lib maybe? No, not lib. Oh wait, yeah, maybe standard. Reader. Read all alloc. Yeah, I wish there was a way to like search for different branches. Like, I guess I get why. This is maybe a weird idea. Do I have an old version of Zig hanging around? I do. Probably not. I'm sure this has been since removed. Oh, maybe not. Okay, what is this doing? Read all alloc right there. Yeah, I'm so confused. Why? Huh. Standard build, read all alloc. Okay, so we have our deprecated reader here. What is this doing? So it gives us an array list managed. Okay. Defers, deinitializing it. Read all array list. So it reads it all into that array list and then calls to own slice on it. Why was that removed? I feel like that's useful. So this would be body reader dot read. Oh, interesting. Okay, hang on. So that would have been read all array list, which just read all is gone. I don't know. With a buffer provided by an allocator. Huh. Show me what we got. Standard documentation. So I want the reader API. I think for now, maybe what I could do feels bad, but I could do read all alloc and then throw this in the adapt to old interface. Let me just check this and see. So Zig build works, which means it's not a compile time issue. Zig build run. Okay, we got a little bit to work with there. But expected status 403 got 404. Okay, that one's working like we would expect. So we have some body issues here, but our tests are running. Oof, yeah, we got to figure that out. So somewhere with our body changes, we have an issue. Which be brand cipher zig 0.15.1 upgrade. Upgrade to 0.15.1. Whoa. It's unfortunate. Okay, give this a push. This gives me two things. One, I can hop over here and go to HTTPSpec and at least be able to easily see the differences between things. I guess that's really the main thing it gives me. But we know somewhere with our body processing, some things have changed. So we have something somewhere, somehow that we need to do regarding bodies from the response and fixing that. Looks like, honestly, like a corruption issue just from looking at this. So yeah, we'll have to check that out. I think I may actually call it here. I gave myself about 2 hours to do this to see if I would like it instead of just doing video stuff, and actually had a really great time. I do think it probably depends on who's going to turn out. So thankfully we had a pretty collaborative chat, and that made things quite a bit better than I expected. But yeah, I think this will this will probably wrap up the first stream. So thank you for taking the time to tune in. I'll give my normal sign off because I'm not going to pass the opportunity up to do that. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. Hopefully it means a lot to you to be a part of the community. And if you'd like to join the community, you should join our Discord. I think I can edit the description after the fact. So I see my followers or the viewers just dropping off, but that's totally fine. I think I can edit it after the fact, but I'll put a link to the Discord in the description as below, and you can come hang out with us in Discord as well. So I think that's it. So thank you and have a great day.